We're just 8 days from the Iowa caucuses. Coming up on KCCI 8 News Close-Up, we talk with Nikki Haley about her plans for the home stretch of her Iowa campaign. And most polls show Asa Hutchinson with single-digit support, why he says that may be his advantage come January 15th. And for the first time in 20 years, Des Moines has a new mayor. What Connie Boesen has planned for the city.
This is Iowa's news leader. This is KCCI 8 News Close Up.
Well, good morning and welcome to Close Up. I'm KCCI Chief Political Reporter Amanda Rooker. We are just over a week away from the Iowa caucuses, and I want to introduce former South Carolina governor and former United Nations ambassador, Republican presidential candidate, lots of titles for you. Nikki Haley, thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
And we are getting so close to the caucuses, so I want to talk to you about all sorts of things. But first, I just want to address some tragic news here in Iowa, the shooting last Thursday at Perry High School. So many parents across the country right now in our community are terrified to send their kids to school. If you were president and you're talking to those parents, how do you ensure them that their kids are safe when they go to school?
Well, first of all, prayers for the family. My heart fell when I heard it because we had a school shooting in South Carolina, and I can tell you we had a teenage kid go and start shooting at a playground, and we had a 6-year-old Jacob Hall, adorable little boy, who was shot, and I was with his parents in the hospital the night that he was shot. And as they were praying that his life would be saved, I knew how much he was struggling. And I will never forget the feeling of what they were going through, and know that we never want any parents to go through that. And I have a mom heart. My son-in-law is a 5th grade teacher in an elementary school. My daughter works at a children's hospital. She's a nurse. My son's on a college campus. So I worry about them every day. So I know what parents are going through. And if we're gonna fix this, we need to be serious about it. And that is the fact that we have to deal with the cancer that is mental health. 1 in 3 people suffer from a mental health issue. But if treated, they can live a perfectly normal life. And we see 80% of mass shooters, they are going through a mental health crisis at the time that they do that. So we have to start looking at how we fix it. First of all, we don't have enough mental health therapists. We don't have enough mental health centers. We don't have enough addiction centers. And if you happen to have one of those 3, insurance doesn't cover it. We have to make it a priority. I will make it a priority that we do that. The second thing is we need to secure our schools in every way possible. And that means 1 point of entry, no side, no rear entries. Making sure we secure it like we do an airport and a courthouse. Our kids are treasures. We need to make sure there's no glass that can be shot through. We need to make sure there's an officer at the front of every school, public and private. And we need to make sure we have mental health counselors in every single school so that they can identify if a child is struggling. Let's start doing those things. That's hugely important because we now have more teenagers that have anxiety, stress, and depression since COVID than we've seen before. So we've got to get it addressed.
Quickly on that, on the school security side, I mean, there are millions of school buildings throughout the country. How would you make sure that there's enough funding and that it's actually utilized for every single one of those school buildings to have proper security?
If there was enough funding for every courthouse and every airport, why is there not funding for every school? That is a priority. We have to keep our children safe. We have to know we're doing all we can, that when a mom and dad sends their child to school, that they're going to be protected on the inside as much as we try and protect them when they're home with their parents. And so we have to do that. That's something, and that's why I've said I want to move as many federal programs as I can down to the state level, so that states can decide how best to utilize these resources. That reduces the size of the federal government, but empowers people on the ground to actually put the resources where they need to have them so that we can get these things taken care of. Think education, think healthcare, think welfare. All of those things would come down to the states if we started doing that.
Let's talk now about your Iowa campaign. Tell me specifically, what does your organization look like? And come caucus night, will you have volunteers at every precinct speaking on your behalf? Do you have any sort of organization to identify all of those people?
So we have been slow and steady wins the race. So initially, we didn't blow a lot of money on people on the ground. We waited. It was about touching hands. We've done over 150 town halls. It was making sure we were answering questions. I was always the last person to leave, and we have slowly grown our team. So yes, we will have people speaking at every caucus site. We will have volunteers. We've got an army coming in. If we don't have them on the ground, we've got others coming in. And so yes, we are going to be well ready for the caucuses. We've got great volunteers here in Iowa. We've got great supporters that are really passionate, and the momentum on the ground feels good. And so we will be ready.
One thing that you've addressed a couple times since it happened was, in New Hampshire, you were at a town hall. You said Iowa starts it, but New Hampshire corrects it. You've said it was a joke, but I want to know, what did you specifically mean by corrects it?
It was funny. When you do 150 town halls, I don't live, eat, and breathe politics all the time like some of the other fellows. I actually want to have fun. And so as an early state, governor of an early state in South Carolina, we always knew and respected very much the early primary process. We knew Iowa was always the first caucus. We knew New Hampshire was always first in the nation, and we always wanted South Carolina to be first in the South. And we took care of the states, but we would always banter against each other. That was kind of the joke that we would do with each state. And so when I sat there and said that, New Hampshire people would laugh at that the same way if I said something in Iowa about New Hampshire, they would too. The same in South Carolina. It's just a joke. We can't take politics so seriously all the time. So
does it mean that there's an expectation that needs to be corrected by New Hampshire?
No, I think really nobody knows what's going to happen on January 15th. I can tell in Iowa, they're all starting to solidify. They're all starting to figure out what they're going to do. We know we feel momentum on the ground. We expect a strong finish in Iowa. I'm going to be very comfortable with that going into New Hampshire. We're going to be really strong in New Hampshire, and then we're going to go to my sweet state of South Carolina. So we're very comfortable about where this is. And look, if I didn't think Iowa was important, I wouldn't have spent the last 11 months campaigning here. It's hugely important. We didn't put all our eggs in one basket. We're fighting for Iowans, we're fighting for Granite Staters, we're fighting for South Carolinians. We're fighting for all of them because we think every one of them's worth fighting for.
We're running out of time here, but I want to ask you a question a little bit about federal spending. You have said if you were president, you would veto any spending bill that took us beyond pre-COVID levels. But as president, a lot of those spending bills are tied to important priorities, or could be border security, could be anything that could be important to you. Why should Iowans and Americans trust you to be willing to veto things if it would push your priorities down the road?
I think you can look at my time in South Carolina. I vetoed over $500 million worth of items. You have to clean up government. And the first thing I'll do is I'll send teams into every agency to clean it up, take down bureaucracy, get rid of old programs that don't work, get rid of problem children. We'll either, in South Carolina, I gutted agencies, I tweaked agencies. There's wasteful spending everywhere. You look at the fact that 70% of our federal employees are still working from home 3 years after COVID. Over 75% of most of our agencies are sitting empty. We're paying for that. You see Republicans open back up earmarks and pet projects on things that taxpayers shouldn't be spending. There are plenty of places that we can start cleaning up, and we have to do that. Government's always quick to go to the taxpayer and say they need more. No, we're going to go as the accountant and audit every one of those agencies and start cleaning it up. They've all gotten too big. Government was intended to secure the rights and freedoms of the people. It was never meant to be all things to all people. It's time that we got back for that. Americans are tired of working for government. Government needs to go back to serving the people.
Well, Ambassador, that is actually all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Well, still to come on Close Up, getting out their support, how the Trump campaign is trying to translate his lead in the polls into victory on January 15th. And beating expectations, why Asa Hutchinson says he's a wild card in the Iowa caucus race. Success in the Iowa caucus is about more than just campaign rallies and television commercials. So much of it is about organization. And Wednesday, we were there with supporters of Donald Trump as they manned a phone bank at his headquarters. They were calling potential voters to get them to commit to going to their caucus site and vote for Trump on January 15th. One of those supporters was Iowa Attorney General Brenna Bird. She explained how the Trump's grassroots organization will help him secure a win on January 15th.
Well, President Trump has a lot of strong support here in Iowa, all over the state, in every demographic. He's got a historic lead in the polls right now. The key thing we have to focus on is making sure everybody shows up on caucus night, because that's the vote that counts. Caucus night, that people go and caucus for President Trump.
You mentioned earlier that people usually say the presidential race starts in Iowa, but this is going to be finished in Iowa. How much do you think Trump needs a landslide in Iowa, or what would that mean if he were to receive a landslide on caucus night?
Well, I think the level of support that we're seeing right now for President Trump is unprecedented. It's higher than any other Republican caucus poll that's ever been done in the state. And so if that holds consistent through caucus night, it's huge, it's historic, and I think that's the end of the Biden administration.
Do you think that would, if he has that big of a landslide on caucus night, would that be the end of would that wrap up the nomination for him, do you think?
Well, I really think it does, and President Trump is way ahead in the polls. The top caucus finisher in the past has been 12 points ahead of others, and President Trump's lead is unprecedented. So yes, I think usually the road to the White House begins in Iowa, but this year I think it ends in Iowa because everybody will see the strong support here.
Take me inside what Trump's operation looks like in Iowa, as specific as possible. What do you see the campaign doing to make sure that there is a big turnout on caucus night?
Yeah, well, President Trump has a strong grassroots operation all throughout the state. And the secret to his success lies in his supporters who strongly support him and who understand how important it is that we have a new president and that we defeat Biden. And they're doing that grassroots organizing, neighbor to neighbor, in order to turn people out on caucus night on the 15th.
Uniquely, tell me a little bit about the specifics of what that grassroots operation is.
Yes. Well, President Trump campaign right here in Iowa has over 50,000 pledge cards, and they're growing daily. There are caucus captains throughout the state in the precincts throughout Iowa, often more than one in a precinct, who will be organizing their caucus. Supporters, I met some tonight that are getting ready to go door to door with handwritten notes for their neighbors to know where to caucus and who to contact if they have any questions. Supporters are calling people to make sure they know where to caucus and how to do it. It's a strong grassroots operation, whether it's door to door, on the phone, or neighbor to neighbor.
And the Trump campaign is trying to not make the same mistakes they made in 2016. That election cycle polls showed Trump with a 5-point lead going into the Iowa caucus. But when all the results were tallied, Trump came in second. He was behind Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Trump senior advisors say they've now beefed up their Iowa organization this cycle with a, quote, more data-driven campaign to avoid a repeat of 2016. Still to come, Asa Hutchinson trails in the polls, why he says that may be to his advantage as his campaign moves past Iowa. With 8 days until the Iowa caucuses, most of the attention has been focused on these 4 Republican candidates. A recent CBS News poll showed Donald Trump with the support of 58% of likely caucus goers. Ron DeSantis, a distant second with 22% support. Nikki Haley with 13% support. And Asa Hutchinson has less than 1% support. Now, despite those poll results, Hutchinson told reporters in Des Moines during a recent campaign stop he believes he's still a contender well beyond the Iowa caucus.
Understands normal, and America understands normal, and we're far off course right now. And so this is return to normal, which is a good theme of my campaign. It's also kicking off this tour that we're going to be in 30 cities across Iowa between now and the time of the caucus on January 15th. I've got a crew here, and we got volunteers, and we're going to be really spreading out across the state. And today was exciting to me. I was down in Newton and zeroing in, and the response of Iowans is now it's crunch time. And there's still many people actually that still haven't made up their mind. They're still thinking it over. But then others are saying, yes, it's time to commit. I'm ready to commit to you to go to the caucus. And so I've got Taylor Maddox here, who's my Iowa director, and we got a table back there. And so some of you have already committed to caucus for us. Others are looking at it. We'd love to have you fill out the card that I'll caucus with you. We're trying to identify someone in every precinct and be ready for it. And by the way, I've got a condo up here for the next, so I'm spending my money here in Iowa. So I've got a place to stay. My wife is coming up, and you know it's a real commitment when our dog's coming up as well. And so Bandit's coming up. And so we're excited about the next 13 days. I want to talk tonight about the political reality of this race. And then I want to talk about why I fit and I'm prepared to be President of the United States, and to make my case substantively that I ought to have your support here in Iowa. And I look at the political reality today, and first of all, no one can predict what's going to happen next year. No one can predict what's going to happen the next year. And so you better be in the race if you're going to make a difference. And since I started a year ago, 8 candidates have dropped out of the race for president. Most recently, Mike Pence, Tim Scott, Doug Burgum, all great people, and they dropped out. So just the fact that I'm in the race, I think I can make the case that I'm the wild card in this race. And so I can sort of analyze the other candidates, and they're they might be up, they might be down, but we are in the race, and I think people know that we intend to last. I've filed for the ballot in California, by the way. I'm on the ballot in California. Colorado, we got another candidate that's struggling in Colorado right now, but I'm on the ballot there. And Wisconsin we qualified for, Texas, Oklahoma, of course Arkansas, North Carolina. And so we are running a nationwide race, and we're gearing up for the long haul because it is unpredictable. And so I make the case that perhaps I'm the wild card in this race. I think that you'll see some of those that might be polling better. If they don't do well, then if they don't meet expectations, I don't know that they will last beyond New Hampshire. Whenever you look at the expectation game, I look at Donald Trump, and I'm not sure he can live up to the expectations. And so the storyline coming out is, who met the expectations, who has got momentum, and I think what you will see is that we will beat the predictions for our race here in Iowa.
Still to come on Close Up, for the first time in 20 years, Des Moines has a new mayor. How Connie Boesen says she's already making change at City Hall. There was a changing of the guard in Des Moines city leadership last week. Connie Boesen was sworn in as the first female mayor in the city's history. KCCI's Ethan Humble spoke with Boesen after she officially took office, and she laid out her plans for the city.
Met with some people in the City Hall, and we have 3 interns, I guess we can call them, that are coming in from Harvard that are doing work in public policy. And they'll be here for 2 weeks embedded, and they're going to be looking at some of my priorities and doing research and say what can we do differently, or what policies do we need, or what other avenues, and maybe research what other cities are doing.
And why is it important to have those people to talk to as mayor?
Oh, I think it's a great opportunity for them to learn. One young man is from Iowa, so he's familiar with our state. But it's great to have a perspective of a fresh approach, and people who are wanting to go into more city government and how it runs and how it can be more effective for our citizens. The real work started on getting to meet people and getting to understand more needs and priorities, and a lot of people are calling to set up appointments and wanting to meet with me. So it was a pretty busy time. Well, really is to go meet with staff, even more staff, and find out their needs and work with our city manager on how we can, what we priorities to through the city and what we can do to strategize going forward, and coming up with maybe new plans that we need to, overarching plans on our strategic goals and how we're going to go forward. But my campaign was always based on, and continues, and why I ran to begin with, was economic development, creating and revitalizing our neighborhoods, and within these neighborhoods are hubs for business, and really saying we're open for business and get businesses downtown again. Downtown is a big neighborhood, but we just need to keep moving forward and having energy and wanting people to be in Des Moines, and I will continually focus on that. Well, one thing that we have done, and they've already put a proposal out, and I don't know, I think they've hired anyone yet, was I said the process of opening a small business, it's daunting sometimes, the permit process and getting through the whole system, and we are in the process of hiring somebody. So I say, I maybe have my first win on what I was saying we would do. They understood the issue and and they are actually in the process of hiring somebody to help shepherd somebody through the start to the finish so they can get open faster. As I've said many times, every day you're not open is a day you're not doing business, and we need to get businesses open and doing business so they're successful. You know, we're going to have meetings with the superintendent and work closely with them on their needs and say how we can collaborate, because I believe public schools or neighborhood schools are critical to successful neighborhoods. And so we will work closely with them, and as we did with some of our ARPA money, we gave $4 million for, they opened up 6 additional preschools, which is an education issue, but it's also a workforce issue. People with a wraparound daycare component, so people can take their kids to the preschool and have an all-day experience, so then hopefully maybe if they need to go to work, they have that opportunity too. So I think there's other ways we can collaborate and just be a positive voice for, we need strong education. We want people to have a good education outcome and stay in Des Moines. It's been interesting. It's the elevation of the mayor's role has been, I guess I didn't expect this. It's been kind of surprising, only because I have always represented the whole city through all my school board, through all my city council at large. So the elevation to mayor is, it's been exciting. The reaction has been so positive. And yes, I am the first woman mayor, and it was fun. And to see the reaction of young girls that are 8, 9, 7, even when I was on the campaign trail, I would say I'd be the first woman mayor, and they go, really? That's great. So it's really rewarding, and it's very humbling that people have given me given their confidence in me to lead this city.
Thanks for joining us for KCCI 8 News Close Up. I'm Amanda Rooker. Have a great day.